I appreciate that. I think that
Wes and I pointed
it deserves to be in all capital letters.
Justin's
Brainstorm.
list, it's just funny. Like all
the other cards, all the other cards are in lowercase. Brainstorm, all caps.
That's respect for the card. Like it. So we watched Justin beat Blue White Blade earlier under the camera.
Yeah, Justin was actually playing for top 8 in the standard event yesterday.
Oh yeah.
There was watching a match while you guys were doing commentary on my break.
Nice. Yeah, he seems like a pretty tight player.
I heard he made a small mistake when he was under camera. Well, he forgot to play a land the one turn. He was saying that he was under the camera and
just a little nervous.
So
a Delver from Scott. So he's the first to get the namesake onto the board.
Justin's going to go ahead and kill that immediately.
Yeah, Chain Lightning for Delver. Seems like the obvious play and probably the correct play. Yeah, Justin.
She's going to go ahead and force that. That's a really aggressive force.
Yeah.
And
Scott really trying to protect that.
Especially
that
when he's
Delver.
on the play. And
force of will meets daze.
And that's strongly favoring Justin here. Yeah, especially with Scott on the play. It's going to be rough now for Scott to come back from that type of card
the play or the draw? Isn't Scott on the draw?
No, Scott was on the play.
Okay.
Or no, Scott was on the draw. You're right. I'm sorry.
I thought he just played his second land after Justin returned his second land already. So
both players with a pair of Tropical Islands on the table. Scott dropping down to 18 here. These decks play very few lands that can actually produce mana. Most of their lands are fetch lands.
Yep.
Go and grab those.
Great with the Delver as well, and all the getting a fresh set of cards on top after a brainstorm.
Doing a pair of Nimble Mongoose. That's going to be pretty good. And it's also going to be pretty hard to race.
Yeah. So what happened earlier was Justin I think played a turn 2 Ponder with hadn't played his land yet. And pondered, put some cards back, drew, and said go, and did not play his land drop, his second land drop, and then had to discard. So it was a pretty bad situation. I mean, you don't want to start off the game like that, but he actually won that game. So, all right, well, Justin has a Delver of his own, and we'll see if Scott has an answer.
And now a Delver for Justin. If he flips this soon, he's going to have a real chance of, fighting with these Nimble Mongoose. With that Brainstorm having just resolved, I would not be surprised if he flipped it right now. And that's what happens. So, and that's what you want to do with the Delver. You use the Brainstorms to set it up, and then you get a nice 3/2 flyer for just 1 blue mana. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
It's pretty incredible, really.
Yeah.
And he adds to the force with a Tarmogoyf. And
Tarmogoyf's going to do a great job holding off those Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, and it's cool too because for Justin here, just the Delver itself already being flipped wins the race against the 2 Mongoose. Now the Tarmogoyf being there to hold those off, it's looking real good for Justin right now.
Yeah, and Scott's going to go ahead and try to daze that, but Justin's just going to be like, okay, thank you very much, another free card. And Justin has accrued so many free cards in this game already, from the Force of Will to this daze. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard for Scott to win this one.
All right, so he pays for the daze. And Scott have any other answers? No. So Tarmogoyf resolves.
And Tarmogoyf is really hard to deal in this matchup.
Yeah, the only thing between that Delver and that Goyf and Scott's life total is his Tropical Island and his 2 Volcanic Islands. And some Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah. Mongoose.
All right, so we have Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt on Tarmogoyf. And
on Delver.
Oh, on Delver, rather. I'm sorry. And, I mean, Justin can just freely swing with this Tarmogoyf. I don't think he's too worried about it. The Tarmogoyf alone races the 2 Nimble Mongoose very well. Tarmogoyf now a 4/5 to the 1/1 of these 2 Nimble Mongooses.
Mongooses.
I believe the correct plural of mongoose is mongooses, but mongoose is way more fun to say.
It is.
And it's less
I like
syllables, so.
monguys. So Ponder resolves. Justin in with the Goyf and plays a Nimble Mongoose of his own, and I have a feeling that Justin's Nimble Mongoose is a little bit bigger than Scott's Nimble Mongoose's.
Yep, it looks like Justin's has threshold.
Yeah, and not only that, also has a Delver of Secrets.
Yeah, it has a little buddy.
Yeah.
All right, he's going to brainstorm with that Delver trigger on the stack, and
he's going to make sure that Delver transforms here.
And he reveals the Spell Pierce. And that's going to be especially strong here with Scott just only having those 2 lands in play. Scott's going to be forced to play into their land before he attempts anything. And it's going to be really hard for him to double spell ever in this game. So now Justin can attack with the team. And that is a 4/5 Tarmogoyf, a 3/3 Nimble Mongoose, and a 3/2 Insectile Aberration for a total of 10 damage. If Scott chooses not to block at all, he's going to fall to 1 here. Pretty dangerous to fall below 3 against a deck that has the ability to bolt you and chain you and Snapcaster chain you and everything like that. So he decides he's just going to go to 5. But I don't know if there's anything he can really do off the top of his deck.
One other notable thing is that Scott has only played 1 boltable creature anyway, so if Justin had Burn, he couldn't use it on the mongooses, so it was if it was there in his hand, he was just going to be holding it until Scott was in burn range. Now I didn't see any burn, and it didn't end up mattering.
Yeah, Justin Uppal.
Justin Uppal is up the game. Justin Uppal is probably.
Well done by Justin here.
Yeah, he plays really well. I mean, I know he made some mistakes.
Maybe he's going to get comfortable underneath the camera.
He is.
It takes a little bit of time.
He's in the same seat too, which sometimes you just naturally go to where you were last, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to sit same seat, and he's kind of feeling like he's at home in the tent there. So
I'm actually somewhat superstitious about side of the table I sit on. I like to start south or east, and then alternate on the side of the table, so I get to the pairings as fast as possible, and then make sure I get on the side of the table I want, and I alternate back and forth. Stupid superstition. I mean, if somebody's already sitting there, I obviously go to the other side of the table, but I know I stand no chance then.
I would normally say that's weird, but since we're live, I'll say that's really interesting.
I'm actually kidding. I don't do that, but
good save. Good save.
No, really, I don't. Seriously. All right, so looking at these sideboards, Justin has access to 2 red Elemental Blasts, 3 Counterbalance, and 2 Sensei Top, and 3 Submerge for this mirror match. Where
Scott also has some Submerge, 1 red Elemental Blast, and 2 Pyroblast.
And he has some Spell Pierces, so I'm not sure if he's going to bring those in. Those are, good if you're playing against the Ruggiero that has access to cards like Jace, but if they're not casting Jace, I don't really think that's the card you want to bring in here.
Fair point. I just do want to point this out. Don't think it matters too much, but Scott has Chill in his sideboard. Haven't seen any Warmth, though, in the sideboards. Just respecting the mono red.
Well, I've talked to 2 people today who said they had Warmth in their sideboard, and they dispatched of multiple mono red decks.
Okay.
So maybe the mono red decks are being weeded out by the people who finally
decided
manned
to
up
respect
and
them,
decided to include those Warmths. But those people who decided to include those Warmths might have softer sideboards against the rest of the field, and maybe they get weeded out toward the end by the people who were able to dodge the red decks.
Yeah.
It's a careful balance, this game of Magic the Gathering.
Especially in Legacy, I think.
Yeah. I mean, some people are playing Enlightened Tutor, and those people have it easy. They can just include 1 Warmth, and they're good to go. It makes them feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. All right, so Scott's just putting his cards back. So it's an interesting match. The top 8 of the Pro Tour. A couple interesting matches. What do we know? The semifinals are happening in the Pro Tour, right?
Yeah, the semifinals are currently happening. Jelger was defeated in 3 straight games by Paulo Vitor Damarosa, and Mamoru Nagai defeated Lucas Blohan 3-1. PV is now fighting against Mamoru, and it seems like that should be an interesting matchup. Both of them are playing Primeval Titan decks. So PV playing a red-green version.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nagai's the black-green version?
Yes, he's playing a black-green Primeval Titan deck.
And you suspected that he may be able to go all the way, didn't you?
Yeah, when I looked at the deck list last night, I thought Mamoru Nagai was a favorite to win the Pro Tour. And I know there are so many superstars in this top 8 that, you know, he's not the first person who you pick out to win the Pro Tour, but his deck list in this field, in this top 8, he seems really well positioned. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win. On the other side of the bracket, we have Brian Kibler playing against John Finkel, probably one of the most epic Pro Tour top 8 matches of all time ever. These are 2 Hall of Famers. Brian Kibler, somebody who is, you know, currently at the top of his game, somebody who was, you know, pretty good back in the day, and then made a comeback and proved that he was better than ever before. And John Finkel, you know, he's GOAT, greatest of all time.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing that meme. What does GOAT mean? I think Kibler's up a game in the match.
Yeah, Kibler's up a game right now, and I think he's, you know, resolving an Inferno Titan right now. Things aren't looking too good for John at the moment. So here, I think Justin's counterbalance top is going to be really good in post-boarded games here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I like about the this particular iteration of the Rug Delver list. Again, inspired or just straight up, you know, taken from the Hatfield list, and it's a great kind of backup plan to have, because you can just lock somebody out of the game with counterbalance top, and that's pretty strong. Now Scott has access to Ancient Grudge for the top, but
it's pretty hard to Ancient Grudge at top.
It is,
jump through a lot of hoops.
Exactly. Yeah. So it kind of seems like that's really not enough. As good as Ancient Grudge is, it's not necessarily the best card against Sensei Savani top, and it's certainly not doing anything to counterbalance. So he's going to have to get those on the way down.
I think I appreciate Justin Uppal, well dressed to the Magic tournament. I feel like being dressed for success is something that's, you know, it's important. It's nice. He also, you know, he knows proper etiquette. Bottom button unbuttoned. He's happy. Yeah. He knows we're talking about his good style.
Absolutely.
And looks like Scott's mulliganing here, and that's unfortunate. A mulligan on the play in this type of matchup is kind of rough, especially if you don't have Nimble Mongoose or creatures where, you know, your opponent can't just, you know, be at parity with removal spells. Those become really important when you're mulliganing, because you need cards that are hard to interact with.
Yeah, Justin looks like he's having a good time, and I love to see that. I think that's just like, you know, again, I said it yesterday, like, you're playing this awesome game, and it's just, you know, as frustrating as it can be when you lose, you know, really just think about it. You're playing this amazing game with,
yeah, I mean, there's nothing I like more than playing Magic.
Yeah.
Doing commentary like this is so wonderful, because I get to, you know, sit around and talk about Magic all day, and it's such an awesome opportunity. But at the same time, when I'm sitting here the whole time, I just wish I was there playing Magic.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, man, I want to be playing, but it's awesome to be just able to watch.
All right, so Scott on 6 cards. Let's see if he likes what he sees. He decides to keep, and he leads things off with a Misty Rainforest, and he's going to crack that. Let's see, probably grabbing a tropical island here. Oh, but he gets a Volk, so one can probably safely assume that he already has a Trop in hand or another fetch land. And he passes the turn.
So we have Unlimited versus Revised, is that?
Yes, the Unlimited versus Revised Volk Island. And like a Delver Secrets.
Revised provides the Delver, Unlimited provides the Bolt.
Yeah.
And we're back at parity here.
Yeah. Interesting, the Unlimited Volcanic Island to go with the M10 Lightning Bolt. Right. didn't realize that Unlimited Volcanic Island may have actually come out of a pack of, what is it?
Zendikar?
Zendikar.
Very well could
We're
have.
included in
Yeah,
that.
the priceless treasures, right? Deadly Perils, priceless treasures, something like that was the tagline. So there's a tropical island.
And just the mana in this format is just so good. For those of you who are going back and forth between Pro Tour coverage and us, I believe that Brian Kibler is winning the second game now, right? Or is this? Well,
they
Brian
switched.
Kibler won the second game, right? Okay.
Yeah, he may have. I didn't quite catch it.
All right, so Scott getting to resolve a Tarmogoyf. That's pretty big here. And Tarmogoyf, once it's on the table, very strong in this matchup.
So how big is that Goyf? Is it a creature land instant? So
yeah, it's a 3/4.
All right, Nimble Mongoose and Delver for Justin.
Justin choosing to keep the Nimble Mongoose in here. The one problem with the Nimble Mongoose in this matchup is that it gets trumped by the Goyf. So once your opponent has the Goyf in play, your Mongoose kind of loses a lot of its oomph.
Right.
Now this mulligan from Scott, not seeming to affect him much.
No, he seems to be recovering very well from that mulligan. He had the answer for the turn 1 Delver.
No, I mean, the name of the deck is Rug Tempo, so being on the play is pretty important in this match. And Scott plays the Delver of his own. Let's see what Justin has here, and he flips up a Spell Pierce. So he did choose to keep it in the Spell Pierce or bring it in, one or the other. And he's got an Insectile Aberration now, and he's going to bash in with both of these. I mean, he would gladly trade this Nimble Mongoose for that Delver, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. Counterbalance from Justin.
Ooh, a Counterbalance.
So
It's
does
a pretty good
Counterbalance
one.
resolve? It appears to have resolved. All right, just Delver by itself. It's interesting because I would have swung in with the Mongoose as well. And,
Yeah, I mean, I would have been
attempted
happy to trade there.
Right, you're probably just getting in. But does he really want to chump block? Maybe he wants to chump block the Goyf.
Ooh, Scott forgot to reveal.
Ooh, did he draw a sorcery?
It may have been a Snapcaster Mage, so he might have not been able to flip, but I know it was a blue card, so I think Snapcaster is the only blue creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides
and,
Delver itself.
Oh wow, nice. Justin actually, with a solid read there, thinking that his opponent's going to attack with the Delver. Scott may be the type of guy who just always turning his guys sideways. There are a lot of Rug Tempo players who kind of play the matches that way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he knew that he was just going to, not block if he attacked, but attack if he didn't. So, strong play by Justin there. And
here comes Snapcaster.
a Sensei top on the top for Justin. And, Snapcaster Mage gets to resolve, but, it looks like all the instances Scott would want to cast from his graveyard cost 1, so he's just left with a 2/1 vanilla.
It can bring the beats just fine, though.
Oh yeah, I mean a bear is perfectly reasonable at this stage of the game. But Scott's got to worry because next turn Justin's almost certainly going to a Submerge, and that's a really, really strong play here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna.
That Submerge is really good because it's also going to slow Justin down from finding that top.
Exactly, kind of a little plow under sort of situation there. He's got to redraw it, replay it. Has to resolve again. He has to reflip it, and we already know it's not going to flip off that top. Because the top is what's on top. So, all right, he's going to trade his Delver for Scott's Snapcaster.
And that seems perfectly fine here.
And in the meantime, Tarmogoyf got in for a little chunk. And Justin may be under 10 now. At 10, okay.
Yeah, Justin at 10 now. With a Sensei top and Counterbalance in play. He's going to be able to take a couple hits from this Tarmogoyf. He's going to fall to 7 here. And with the Counterbalance top in play, he's got a very, very solid grip of control on this game. So as long as he can find some way to keep that Tarmogoyf in parity, perhaps a Tarmogoyf of his own, he's going to be in fine shape this game. But if he's unable to do that in the next 2 turns, he's just going to die.
Yeah. It's nice that he's got that top and a fetch land there, so he's going to have a lot of opportunity to find an answer for the Goyf. But
it's
the fetch
interesting
land's
because the fetch land actually speeds up the clock by a turn.
Exactly. So it's like he's. I mean, if he doesn't have an answer, he doesn't have an answer. So he's going to have to crack the fetch, and that's what
And
it
once
looks
you get
like
cards
here.
deeper, like one more turn without popping that fetch, you see very, very few cards in relation to how many you get to see if
I
you
see.
did. So
I see.
I think it's worth it. I agree with Justin's play there.
Yeah. All right. Uses the top, and I think he drew a submerge.
Yeah, he found a submerge there, and that's definitely going to be good enough here.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I got a comparison.
All right, and yeah, I think Justin's got this one at this point.
All right. Goyf tries to swing in for lethal submerge from Justin. Does Scott have an answer? Did he draw an answer? We got Brainstorm. I see Delver. I think some lands. I think there's just two lands. Brainstorm, Delver, or what's in his hand. All right, submerge works, and that's going to be real tough for Scott to resolve again.
Yeah, now that counterbalance top is just sitting there, I think it's really, really rough for Scott. As long as Justin is relatively safe with his mana and doesn't, overextend with it,
Yeah.
he can just prevent Scott from ever resolving another spell again. All of Scott's spells cost, like one or two,
right?
except for Submerge and Force of Will. And those are both reactive spells, not ones that actually kill Justin. So, even Fire Ice, it deals you 4 damage when you reveal it off Dark Confidant, but when you're trying to counter it with a counterbalance top, it's only 2.
You choose, yeah. So he goes to 2 here, cracking a fetch land after activating top and not seeing a 1. So he's gonna use the top again. Excuse me.
And I think that's perfectly fine.
And he's always got the top itself. It finds a Nimble Mongoose, great. So Mongoose will successfully counter the Brainstorm. And also successfully counter a Delver if Scott wanted to play that. But instead,
Scott's
all right,
going to go for a Tarmogoyf.
plays that Tarmogoyf again. And Justin allows that to resolve. That's interesting. I think he has another Submerge.
Yeah, I think he does also.
So Justin plays a Nimble Mongoose, checks to see if he has Threshold, which he probably does, but...
Scott, he's at 2. That Tarmogoyf is lethal.
Scott thinking about his play here.
Scott's trying to force through something, but
Right.
I mean...
And he did it. It was pretty
difficult here.
It does have Threshold, by the way. It's interesting, we were saying how tough it was going to be to resolve that Tarmogoyf, and we saw exactly how Scott did it. Tried to resolve Brainstorm. Justin did not want that to happen, so he counters the Brainstorm and Scott gets the Tarmogoyf through. Now, unfortunately for Scott, Justin saw the Submerge and could very well have been able to counter the Tarmogoyf. Just maybe he didn't have he knew there wasn't a 2 up there, so just didn't even bother activating the top and trying to counter the Goyf.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting sort of situation. He does not have that Submerge?
Either that or he just...
okay, he just
he'll
wants
deal
to
with
finish
it
it
with
off.
Volt,
Yeah.
So I think he has another Submerge, though, so... I guess he doesn't want to have to keep dealing with it. If he can get rid of it, that's cool,
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have a 2 on the top of his library already, like... As it's fine, like, having that Submerge in your hand just makes it harder and harder for your opponent.
Yeah, he's got a nice little safety valve. So here's some pressure for Justin.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf comes down.
Tarmogoyf resolves.
And that's going to take some big chunks out of Scott's life total very quickly.
So Scott seems to have Land, Spell Pierce, and I believe something else. I just didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, and there's the Submerge on the top of Justin's deck. Let's see what
Delver.
Justin chooses to
That's
go
right.
for.
He already had the Delver.
Justin's going to drop to 1 here.
Wow. On the brink.
I mean, I think it's perfectly safe to drop to 1. You have counterbalance top into play.
Still feels like you're things are shaky. That low.
One is all you need.
So he tops at the end of the turn, draws a card,
Yeah.
and I believe we're going to see some crashy with the Goyf here.
Yeah.
Wasteland.
Wasteland, the unlimited one.
Yeah, the unlimited one specifically. Yeah, look, he's like the revised one. No, the unlimited one.
Yeah. No.
Scott actually tried to put the revised one in the gravy.
I want the one that was printed in 1993.
Yeah. So here goes Goyf.
Goyf coming in the red zone here for Justin. Scott, hoping that there's some chance of him forcing through a burn spell here.
Now, is that Goyf still just a 3/4? Is just creature instant land? Yes, so.
Yeah, I mean, post-board, I don't think there are any sorceries in either of these
Right.
decks. I think Tarmogoyf is in permanent 3/4 land in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's unless the counterbalance gets countered or removed somehow.
Yeah, or like a
Same
div
as
top
the
gets
top,
countered,
right.
yeah.
All right, so Tarmogoyf crashing
3
again.
at a time.
Yeah, 3 at a time here. Oh, well, we'll have 6 at a time if this one resolves. And it
That
does.
speeds up by the clock by a full turn.
All right. So Scott.
Scott chooses
Scott
to
just
just pack it
scoops
up.
him up.
Yeah, and Justin says, like, I kept a 1 and a 2 on the top of my deck. There's nothing you could have done.
Wow.
And
yeah, Justin Uppal.
Justin
2-0.
played that game very well.
He definitely
Bided his
did,
time. Chose like a line for each series of threats that Scott presented to him, and took a couple hits from Tarmogoyf, even though he had answers in his hand, so that he could assemble a counterbalance top.